Hello and good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're at. My name is Heidi Ellsworth, and this is Roofers Coffee Shop. And this is our month's RLW, Read, Listen, Watch. We are very excited to talk about stop chasing leads and start using data. It's the future. And it's here today, and you need to be a part of this. So welcome. We are so excited to have all of you here today. I want to do a special thank you to Eagleview as our sponsor and for everything that they're bringing to this, and also Reworked.ai. And you're going to hear a lot about this today. Something you're going to want to start using in your business tomorrow. First, a little bit of housekeeping. This is being recorded and it will be available within 24 to 48 hours. So please use it in your business, share it within your business and within the roofing industry overall. This is great information. And as always, the chat is open. So please tell me where you're from, what you're doing, what kind of company you have. Let's just get the chat going. And as we go through, please ask questions, make comments, send a couple emojis, whatever works for you. We want you. You are part of this conversation. So let's get going. I am so excited today about our guests and who have really come experts in the field to bring it together. First, I would like to introduce Pete Cleveland with Eagleview. Pete, I am so excited to have you here today. You and I were just talking old Eagleview stories. So
Old days.
welcome. Welcome to this
Yeah,
month's RLW. Please introduce yourself and tell us about what you do with Eagleview.
absolutely. Thank you, Heidi. Happy to be here too. Really excited about this topic today. So I'm the Vice President of Partner Strategy at Eagleview. I've been here for 8 years, held a number of different roles, but in my current role, I focus on building and developing partnerships across the insurance and the construction industry. And all of these partnerships are really powered by Eagleview data. And one of the things I love the most about this role is developing new partnerships with new innovative solutions that add more value to the market and really propel the market forward in terms of new technologies and new ways of doing things, which is exactly what we've done here with Reworked. Really excited to get more into it today and appreciate the opportunity.
I am too. And I have to tell you, first of all, thank you for being here, Pete. I'm just so excited to have you on. And we are also very excited to have Fred here today from Reworked.ai. Fred has joined and Reworked.ai has joined the coffee shops. And I can't tell you, we can't be happier. They are just an amazing company delivering what the next steps for roofing. So, Fred, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your company and what you do?
So Heidi, thanks again for having us here and echo your thanks to Eagleview and particularly Pete. He's been a heck of a partner in developing this collaboration. But the whole Eagleview team has just been amazing to work with, professionals all across the board. So my name is Fred. I'm one of the co-founders at Reworked, and over my career in the last 30 years, I've just been a champion for efficiency. And it's important. I want to share the story of how Rework started. I was in an industry sending out direct mailers and ended up talking to a gentleman who had called in looking at the product. And I remember him asking me, "Why'd you send it to me?" And I said, "I don't know anything about you. I just looking at your property." He said, "But there's got to be somebody that's using machine learning to predict who's more likely to use and want to talk to you about your product." And I said to him, if there was, I would use it. That person is Sham, and he's now my business partner for the last
Love it.
5.5 years. And it's just that's our meet cute if this was a Hollywood film.
I love that. I love you're talking to a customer and then this can be done better. And look where you're at today is so amazing. So we're going to talk more about Rework.ai, how it works in conjunction with Eagleview. But we wanted to kind of start out to really talk a little bit too about just where we're at. We're starting 2026. Technology is roaring. Marketing, working with technology, and understanding what's going on is more important than ever. So I kind of wanted to talk about how critical marketing is when you look at the economy, little soft, some places not so soft. I mean, it's kind of flip a coin right now, but overall contractors are seeing great success. Fred, talk a little bit about why it's so important that they really focus in on their marketing, understanding what they want.
Yeah, Heidi, I've been thinking about this for the last week as we were putting this outline together and trying to relate it to the trades, particularly in roofing. A roofing owner, a roofing company, all facets of their business is about control. All right, you're going to replace a roof. What supplies do you need to order? How many nails? How many screws? How much underlayment? How many tiles? You're trying to get it right to the number to have a little bit more, but no wastage because that's just money out of your pocket. Are the workers that are up on the roof, are they trained? Are they trustworthy? Are they going to show up on time? Are your sales and marketing people competent? Are they talking and living the qualities that you have as a business owner? All control. And then we get to marketing. And we see a lot people like, well, I'm buying leads, I'm sending an every door direct mailer, I'm canvassing, and none of those aspects have anything to do with control. And it
Mm-hmm.
really comes down to, okay, what's your strategy? Right. Over the last 4 months, I've had the pleasure of talking to hundreds of roofing companies, and everyone seems to do it different, and that's great. But you need to have a plan. What are you going to do? How are you going to build your pipeline? And a pipeline starts with who and where. How is this
Yeah.
customer going to come to you? Right? It's not just a hope and pray. Hope and pray is for Sunday morning. The rest of the week, we want control. We want to understand what our expectations are. When we're talking to our salespeople, when we're talking to our foremen, we want to know what our expectations of how many jobs they're going to have, how many conversions they're going to have, how many people we're going to be talking to as we move them through the pipeline. So it really comes down to control. And I think many roofing companies, the owners and the leadership look at this side of the business and they're like, well, it's that old adage, half of what I spend is wasted. I just don't know which half. Well, we're here to talk about the half.
I mean, I think that really looking at what's going on right now, and Pete, I would just love some of your insights too, because you're talking to contractors all over the country. And one of the things we're seeing is a lot more regulations on
Mhm.
lead gen, on how we talk to our customers. So it's become even more important. What are some of the things you're seeing about really how important it is for marketing, for contractors to be focused in on that?
Yeah, well, let's start with the weather last year. I mean, it just didn't exist, right? So
Right.
retail projects are even more important now. The weather just didn't show up, and hopefully will next year. But we still need to be prepared, and we still need to generate and build that pipeline. Across the ecosystems, and you know, in roofing, but also other trades, there's a lot of noise just around just garbage leads. Multiple
Yeah.
contractors calling on the same lead. Is this even a lead? Just because they searched roof in Google, and then you have the FCC regulations that coming down the pipe around who you can reach out to and how, right? So the
Hmm.
landscape is changing, but it's also the consumer is changing. They have access to more technologies. Just like we all can use Chat GPT, so does the consumer, right? They want to find a roofer. They're not necessarily just looking for the top result in Google. They're leveraging technology. They're more educated, and it's forced, I think, all of us in the industry to just stay ahead of that, right? To maintain that competitive advantage, taking advantage of these technologies, understanding the changing landscape, the new regulations, and just continuing to find a way to climb out of it, grow, and stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
And it's not just roofing. I mean, that's all
Mhm.
home services, all exterior trades. It's consumers are changing, technologies are changing, regulations coming behind it, to sort of put a little more control on that. And I mean, I personally welcome less spam calls,
Yeah.
but to some degree, it does. It changes and makes it more difficult for the outreach, and which is why even finding those right opportunities is even more important now because you really want to spend all that time, effort, and money on the right opportunities, not just capturing everything you can grab because even that's diminishing.
And you know, I think it's so true because I've been doing marketing in the roofing industry for over 30 years, and I've watched all the trends and how everything goes. And it had to be here, then it had to be all digital, and then it had to be where now it's a combination. It's really looking at it and to this point, sales goals. And Fred, when you're really kind of looking at that, there is some things, and whether they're broken or it's just changing so fast that it's like when you change things on your website and you break your links. That's kind of almost what it feels like a little bit. So talk about, that traditional lead gen and really what's changing and why contractors need to be thinking different.
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. We're not fans of the word lead, right? As Peter was saying, it's a misnomer. It's not actually true, right? And so much of this is being developed from broad mass marketing, right? And every door direct mailer saying, I'm a roofer, free survey, 100% financing. It doesn't connect with anybody. And if you were to sit down on a Friday evening after dinner and say, I'm going to watch a movie, and you open up your streaming service of choice and you just picked the next movie with no name, no description, no insight on the movie, and just started watching it, what are the chances that you would enjoy that movie? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
The streaming services know this, and they know you. They know your profile. They know what you've liked. They know what you've watched to the end. They know what you've rewatched. That's the data that helps them say, hey, Joe, you might like this. Give this a try. Wow, I like that movie. That was good, right? So it's no different than going out there and screaming from the hills, I'm a roofer. I can fix your roof. Wasting money on unqualified homes. I love this story from a roofing company that did a huge mailer and talked about a free survey. And they were getting a lot of inquiries. Hey, we'd like a free survey. So they're sending their inspectors all over the state to do these surveys. And 85% of what they were looking at was either the roof was fine, the roof was great, or maybe the roof wasn't so great, but the homeowner didn't have the financial wherewithal to even begin to have a conversation. So not only did they waste all this money on a marketing effort, and then they're wasting time and energy on their employees to go out and do this work. And yes, the responses were low, inconsistent, and they tend to blame the process. Well, it was the direct mailer. It was direct mail doesn't work anymore. What are you, crazy? There's 80 billion pieces of direct mail that are handled by the USPS every year. It's the single cheapest, easiest way to get your message in the hand of the consumer versus anything, bar none. So
Yeah.
that's really what we're all facing right now. It's not just roofing, it's not the trades, it's every industry. How to get the right message to the right person.
And I think, to what Pete, you were saying on the last slide is really that homeowners are thinking different. Building
Yeah.
owners are thinking different. They're doing research. And sometimes it takes a couple of those things, like maybe seeing it online and then seeing it as a direct mail, right? And then, oh, I'm going to go back online now. I'm going to research them and see how they do. I'm sure you're seeing this across the board with all these different changes.
Yeah, and what we're learning with this targeted approach, right? Like really finding the right opportunities and reaching out to them is also just raising awareness. You know, do they even know they need a roof? Right? That's the other part of it, and that's also part of the opportunity here is raising that awareness. Any typical home, I mean, we all work in the industry, so we look at our roof, we know our roof, we look at our neighbor's roofs, but your typical homeowner is not. Right. So they may even just be, not paying attention to these ads because they didn't even realize they needed a roof. And that's also the importance of this targeting too. And the opportunity it presents is, yeah, they have the tools and where, the know-how at their fingertips, but let's raise awareness to this failure is coming. This leak is coming, right? Not
Right.
just,
How do
yeah,
you, if I could pull on that thread from Pete just a little bit more, it's
Yeah.
intent versus demand, right?
Right.
So someone clicks on an ad or does a search because they're in the market. They've noticed their roof. They've looked at it. Maybe they're, handy around their house and like, oh, what am I going to do? Or they want to upgrade to a metal roof. But that's a small segment of the actual roofs out there that need attention. And it's crowded. Everybody's chasing. It's a feeding frenzy once they click on that. I'm sure every contractor that's on this video call has been yelled at by some poor homeowner. I know I've done it both on both sides of the fence where, will you guys stop calling me? Yes, right. So we're all, chasing that one morsel of food. Meanwhile, the homeowner who has a roof that they bought the house 7 years ago, the house passed inspection, the roof passed inspection, And that was the last time they've thought about that roof until Eagleview flies it, until we're looking at the homeowner demographics and the family makeup and their financial position to say, you know what, this roof is failing or about to fail. And let's have a conversation about how a roofing contractor can help them avoid a much costlier, a much more invasive project for their home.
Fred, I just think that's so key. And as we look at this, um, marketing is becoming so much more need-based. I mean, as you know, we talk about all the time. Oh, I was talking on my phone about wanting to get this certain pair of shoes, and all of a sudden now all the digital ads are showing up, right? And so, but a lot of times we don't even know what we need, and
Mhm.
especially when it comes to roofing. So, really looking at data data is so important. So talk a little bit about how that data is driving that marketing and also and can change how consumers think.
Right. So those of us on the call that are about my age remember when the TV had three channels, right? And remember what was, we
A
had
long
the
time
the
ago.
local. Thanks, Pete. We had the local
Long time.
news, we had the international news, maybe a game show, and then we had our prime time. But the commercials that were aired for MASH or Cheers were different than the commercials I might have been watching on Saturday morning for the cartoons. Different commercials. Why? Because they knew that the viewership was different. So data has been a part of marketing. Targeted data has been a part of marketing since it's begun. And I promised myself I would only say the word AI like three or four times in this whole conversation because I know we're all having AI fatigue. And Peter's going to talk about that coming up. But AI isn't worth a hill of beans without the data. Without the
Right.
data to drive it and to power those algorithms, whether it's machine learning or computer vision or a large language model, it's the data. And right now, in our collective world, the availability and the amount of data on all of us, fortunately or unfortunately, is unprecedented. And
Hmm.
if the viewers of this podcast are not taking advantage of that, I can guarantee you somebody else is going to be taking advantage of it to be smarter, more tactical, and have more control for what they're putting, both in terms of messaging and to whom. And it's quality over quantity.
Yeah. I I agree so much on this and how the consumers are just changing and how we identify and how we need to do things and that quality over quantity. I'm a big one in marketing to say a shotgun approach will work sometimes, but that rifle approach really makes a difference. We talked about that so much
Mhm.
with Eagleview, Pete. So as you look at this and how data, I mean, you want data. Eagleview was one of the first ones in the industry to bring this kind of data to contractors, full roof measurements, everything. It has changed since, 2008 when it started to today. That has totally changed the industry.
Yeah. And it presents us with an opportunity to be proactive versus reactive, right? When you're buying leads, you're reacting to some type of interest. What we're talking about today is being proactive and staying ahead of that, essentially creating your own TAM or your own market, your own opportunities, right? And it's powered by data. So, thanks for the little plug there, Heidi. But yeah, I mean, we were one of the, if not, as it relates to roof data, the first to bring data into the market. And I think, early on that was sort of, just masked or, hidden behind a PDF. But behind that, those PDFs have always been data. So when we're
Mhm.
talking about this level of targeting here, specifically for roofing opportunities, what we're talking about is finding roofs that actually need to be replaced. And this is not some major catastrophe where there's a tarp on it, where half the roof is missing from a tree that fell on it. What we're talking about are very subtle signs on the surface of that roof that demonstrate or really are leading indicators to a failing roofing system. So think of things like streaking, discoloration, missing shingles,
Yeah.
organic materials. All of these things that we know basically are telltale signs or observed characteristics of a poor roof. But you're not going to get that from satellite imagery, and that's where Eagleview is really uniquely positioned here. Is we've been around the industry, we know the industry in terms of the roofs, but also it comes down to our image quality, which is continuing to advance every year. So at this point, we're flying 1 inch imagery. So what that means, like layman's terms, just picture each pixel on the ground is about the size of a quarter, as compared to something that you're going to get from satellite imagery, which is going to be about the size of a basketball. You're not going to be able to tell a roof condition from satellite imagery. So to Fred's point, the AI is only as good as the data that you've trained it with, right? So we've taken hundreds of thousands of ground truth samples to determine these characteristics of a failing roof. And you combine that with our high resolution imagery, and that's where these targets start to show up. And when you're talking about pulling the 15 to 20% of homes out in a given territory that have a poor roof, you need this level of data to essentially power that. And, kind
Pete,
of
if I
tying
could,
it in. Yeah,
I just wanted to talk more about that, right? One of the things that I think is so powerful that Eagleview brings is the history, right? And if your computer vision is looking at not just only the latest image, but the last 5 or 6 images of that house, of that roof, and that's helping the computer vision understand what has been going on. It's almost like a flip chart. It's no different than if a expert roofer was looking at their own home over time and thinking, well, I only got a couple months here. I better, in that level of expertise is deployed on that roof all the time.
yeah, yeah. And we've for lack of a better words, this isn't our first rodeo. Like we do this for insurance underwriting today, right? And what we're talking about is a new application of this data through this partnership for identifying roofing opportunities. So, that same piece of data could affect your insurance premium, but that same piece of data can also basically highlight your home as needing a replacement. And that's the ones that we want to focus on. And, tying it to our earlier conversation, this is really about, let's face it, people don't want to buy a roof. You don't, maybe there's, a select few that want to change the aesthetics or material, but by and large, people buy a roof when they need a roof. And that's essentially what we're identifying here. This homeowner doesn't want to buy a roof. They need to buy the roof, right? So thinking back to my comment earlier about, raising awareness. Do they even know they need a roof, right? By the time they've typed roof into Google, it's almost too late. There's already blood in the water. Sharks are swarming around it. There's an opportunity to be proactive, identifying the roofs in a given territory to then target in a meaningful way. And again, that's all just sort of powered by Eagleview's data. 94% of single family residents are covered with this imagery. We're flying the most popular metros at least once a year, sometimes more. And we're constantly refreshing this data because this intelligence is key to these types of activities and quite frankly, the future of marketing here in roofing.
Yeah.
And I can really attest to that because 2 years ago, we at Reworked had built our own computer vision to look at aerial images, satellite images of roofs to find damage. And the computer vision was built by some of the brightest engineers that we could find. And it was great. It is great. But the images didn't have the resolution and didn't have the timeliness, and they had overlap with trees. And when we met Eagleview, it was really a peanut butter and jelly or a peanut butter and chocolate. It was like, wait a minute, you've got high resolution digital images that can find the need. You're looking at the top of the house, the outside of the house. We're looking inside the house to see what's going on with the homeowner or owners. And so without those images, our product could not get off the ground.
I think this is it's so revolutionary. Let's just think about it that way, right? So that when you look at it, by the time a homeowner sees a leak in their roof, how much damage or in their ceiling, how much damage has already been done, right? It's in the attic, it's in the you probably have dry rot. It's just insulation's wet, everything. It's too late.
It's a double the cost, right? If whatever you're looking at for the roof, you can just double it. And plus, you may have to take your family and your dogs and your cats and your fish or whatever else out of the house why all this, and then, don't even start talking about exposure to mold and all these other aspects, right? It's the equivalent of, hey, I've got a spot on my arm. Let me go check with the doctor. No, it'll be okay. Let me just Bob Marley this and see if it goes away. No, it's not going away. It's not getting better.
Right. That spot. It's not. And you want to do it way before that. One of the things, Pete, I would like just for you to address while we're here on this slide too. And I think probably a lot of people are thinking this. In fact, if you all have questions, get them in there. We want to do them. But one of the questions that I was actually involved with this when I was at Eagleview, because it was one of our really big goals, which has now happened. It's been a while since I've been there. But that is, how can Eagleview determine that roof condition? How can, what is some of the technology behind that, the AI learning behind that, that really helps you start identifying that, you know what, this roof could be going through the leaks could be going through the ceiling in another year if you don't take care of it. How does that work?
Well, I explained it a little bit. So it starts with the high resolution imagery. You need that level of detail. You also need training sets. You need, hundreds of thousands of ground truth samples, right? To train the machine to say, yes, this is what you've observed. No, this is not that, right? And that sort of feeds all into it. And that's sort of the barrier to entry to creating the technology. But the way it works on an individual basis is we don't know what we can't see, but we study everything that we can see in the image. And we're essentially grading every roof, looking for all of the observed characteristics of that roof surface that are telling of a failing roof system. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, but we're essentially looking at every roof and we're saying, do we see streaking? And we apply confidence level to that. We say, do we see discoloration, missing shingles, organic materials, tarps, ponding, patching, right? All of these things that we know when we look at a roof, yes, it's curling, that's the roof is going. So the machine is basically looking at every single attribute or classification and putting a confidence. How confident is the machine to say, yes, I see this. Yes, I see this. And when we pull all that together, that's how we're able to score a roof condition. So, for marketing purposes, it really matters if it's good, questionable, or failing. But we actually can take that out to a 5-point score for some applications to really look at that more in detail. But again, just summarize that: observed characteristics of a failing roof system. We've trained a machine on it, then we feed it with our high resolution imagery, and that's essentially how we're able to determine condition.
So Heidi, can I
Yes.
share an anecdote, right, that my business partner always uses, and as you've been, because I'm not a data person, right? I'm not a computer scientist. But the way he's explained it to me over the years is it's no different than teaching a child the difference between a dog and a cat. How many data points is the human brain looking at and observing when they're looking at a dog and a cat? You couldn't say, well, dogs are bigger. Not all dogs are bigger. You couldn't say, well, just dogs have whiskers. So do cats. Dogs don't have pointy ears. Well, some do. So it's all of these components and learning, a small child learning that that's a cat, pointy ears, shape, size, and everything's coming in. And that's essentially what computer vision is doing. When it's fed the ground truth, as Peter's talking about, it's like, hey, this is bad. This is a known bad. And this is the difference between computer vision, machine learning, and a large language model. It's all supervised. It is taught on a training set of data. Go look for this. It's no different than when you hire a new person on your roofing company who's training to be an inspector, or you have to train them. You're going to look for this. You see the tile is starting to curl here, and it's giving you a clue, and then it goes here. That's the same thing that the computer vision has done. It just does it at scale, so you don't have to get up on a ladder, and you can find out who needs it without having to go to every single house.
Well, and it puts such power in the salesperson's hands. And I mean, I love sales. I love to have the data. I love to be able to really educate because that is the best sell. And when you look at that and you look at this, they can have a picture that they can actually say, look, your chimney's crumbling apart, or whatever it may be. That is so important. So, Fred, talk a little bit more about how that data is just empowering the salespeople.
So I'm sure everybody on this call knows an amazing salesperson, or maybe they are an amazing salesperson. They are a unique breed. They have the power to pick up on clues and signs. They're walking up to the house. There's an appointment to talk to a homeowner about anything, any sort of sales. As they're parking, they're looking at the grass. They're looking for bumper stickers. They're looking for, are there any flags hanging out there? They're looking for any signs that they can make a personal connection with. Oh, how about those Miami Dolphins, right? Or whatever it is, to build credibility, trust, and lower the anxiety on the other side to get to a sales. Some salespeople even start to slightly mimic the customer, a little bit of a southern accent, throw that in. It doesn't matter. They're going to do what it takes to get to the sale. And that's education versus persuasion. And part of what we're helping roofing contractors get to is when that surveyor or that salesperson is talking or going out there to talk, they already know, A, the roof is bad. B, this homeowner or homeowners have the wherewithal, they have the financial ability, whether it's in cash or credit score, plus they have a family structure based on the demographics that we're able to see that would lead them to want to have a conversation of an ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure. So going in, that salesperson's already going to feel empowered. They're they're already going to feel like they know what the customer is going in there. They know they're going to make this sale, and nothing drives success like feeling you're going to do very well, right? So that increased credibility. We've had roofing contractors come back to us and say their customers are saying thank you, right?
Yeah.
As Pete said, no, nobody wants to buy a roof. But you know what nobody
Right.
really wants to have is a leak in the middle of the book club or Thanksgiving dinner, or you got the, family over to watch the ball game and everything goes, tea kettle, right?
Sideways.
Nobody wants that. And so if
Mhm.
you're a type of person that wants to ensure that your valuables and your loved ones are protected, and someone comes in and says, hey, this roof's got a problem. Also, as Pete said, the vast majority of the population doesn't know the difference between a good roof and a bad roof. It's just there, right? But if you're going into a parking lot and you're parking your car to go to the grocery store and someone says, hey, do you know your right rear tire is low? Oh, I guess we all have tire
Yeah.
monitors these days, but you're going to immediately identify and thank that person for showing you that something, your gas cap is off. Oh, thank you, right? You're not
Right.
mad at them. You're like, wow, thank you for helping me and taking time. And we're seeing a lot of that because you're not chasing that demand. You're chasing the person who has a problem and who looks and feels that they want to be able to fix those. So it's
Yeah.
just, and then if we talk about concise proposals, relevance, you're showing up, your proposal is already 95% built. Your roof report's already 95% built. You know what you're going into, you know what you're facing before you even show up. So, it's just helping the salespeople. Once that client pops on their radar and comes into their funnel, they're able to close. And one last item here, Heidi, and I know I'm on a bit of a rant. We're seeing roofing contractors about double their activity, right? If they were going to send 100 or 1,000 or whatever they were doing for their traditional activity, they're seeing at a minimum double of the inquiries in people looking to talk about their services, which is good. But where we're really seeing a huge ROI shift is closure, right? And that gets back to the
Yeah.
credibility. We're seeing that salesperson pumped up. We're seeing that salesperson know that they have a product that's going to fit this customer well and is going to make their life better. And they're going to go
Yeah.
out there and they're going to help that customer. So their closure rates are doubling, if not more. And that's where the money is, right?
Yeah.
And we're really encouraged by that because in the beginning, we believed in it. We knew the data would drive it, but now we're seeing it come out of our customers.
Right. I agree with you so much. And for to be able to go in and help people, to educate them and help them makes such a difference. We have a great question. I'm going to Alex, hold on. We're gonna come to that question because it's a great one and we actually have some slides on that. So hang tough. I'm seeing you. Because we want to talk just a little bit here too about so my whole career, sales and marketing, sales and marketing. They need to live together. They live in the same ecosystem. And this kind of data can now your marketing team can be delivering what the salespeople need to close on. And I think that is a huge difference. So, Fred, I'm going to have you start us out on this slide also about just how do you use this data to get to the marketing? And then we're going to get to Alex's question.
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. And this is where in a normal presentation, this would be AI this, AI that. AI is going to make your coffee, solve all your problems, and figure out how to get you more business. I don't know about a lot of the people here. There's a bit of AI fatigue. I've been to several conferences recently, and everybody's putting AI on their name, and we're focusing on data. And this is not just saying, oh, the house was built 20 years ago, that this homeowner, has this much equity in the house. There is no one single point of data that can determine any outcome. No different than I go back to my streaming services. If you went in there and inadvertently had your 10-year-old daughter on your profile and she watched um, uh, some movie or show that has nothing to do with your likes or dislikes, that's one data point that's going to show up. It's not going to move the needle. So when we're looking at homeowner data, we're 26, 28 data points, right? Are they a member of Marriott Bonvoy? Do they have an American Express? How many children do they have? What types of schools do they go to? What type of cars is the car paid off, right? Who's their insurance company? The amount of data that is available to us as consumers, right? And it's the saying, if you're not using AI, then it's using you, right? So this is the time that the trades and roofing companies can be like, you know what? I'm going to get a little piece of this. I'm going to be smarter, right? I'm going to build a strategy. I'm going to set a plan to use the data here. And just like Alex Ball is talking about, he says, I'm sold, right? Now he just
Yeah.
wants to get to the how, right? Tell me
Yeah.
how, stop all this, I'm ready to go. I don't need an hour. I got things to do. And I love it, right? And we're going to get to it.
We're keeping you on here, Alex, because I think we're going to get right to your answer. But before we do that, I do want to just, when it comes to putting your business goals with your marketing, we talk about this a lot. I talk about this a lot in different things, is that what kind of products are you installing? What kind of homeowners do you want? And I know it's scary sometimes hearing we know all these things, but all this data is out there. And so if you are putting on a certainteed roof and you want to get into a neighborhood and understand that and understand how the roofs are looking and what's happening with the homeowners and how to sell it, all of a sudden now your marketing can work with your manufacturers, with your distributors, with different people to get that out there. And Pete, one of the things Eagleview has done is really work with a lot of different companies in the industry to provide this kind of marketing data.
Yeah. Yeah, it's look, it's one thing to have the data, but if it's not plugged into the platform where you're working and where you need it, then it's not all that helpful, you know?
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely. It's one thing to have it, but then it's also what do you do with it? How do you use it? And that's, you know, as we get into Fred's demo here coming up, maybe that was a spoiler alert, but um I think you'll see kind of what I'm talking about when it's, the data is one thing. It's how you use the data and where you use it. That's important, and that's
Right.
that's kind of the point here. And that's really driving a lot of the partnerships and, my intro. I mean, that's the exciting part about my job is, right? Like, okay, we have these components. Now let's turn it into a really innovative solution that's going to displace the old way of doing things,
The way we're doing it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Alex, we're going to start talking about this. So I'm going to bring your question up right now, and then we're going to do a little bit of a demo. So you may not get the full question until we're through with the demo, but Alex had asked, he's sold, for the need for data, but I'm wondering how I can get it, how much I'm going to pay for it, how do I best use it, and how do I get sales worth at least 10 times what I paid for the data? I think that last part of that question is really what is on everyone's mind. So, Fred, talk a little bit about, let's just talk about Reworked.ai and going from that large spend to that right spend, and then we'll get into that demo.
Yeah. So I guess people are figuring out I like to tell stories. So in the beginning of the year, in the Japanese famous fish market, the first tuna goes for a record, and I think this year I read it was $2.3 million for this
Oh my
fish.
gosh.
I mean, I love tuna, I love sushi, but I can guarantee you one thing about that tuna. They did not catch that tuna with a giant net. And what we've been talking about here is these broad outreaches. If you want to go catch 1,000 shrimp, then you get your net, you get it in the right area, fine. But if you're going to go for some big fish and be targeted and smart and spend the right amount of money, and again, I love what Alex is saying. I want to spend the right amount of money and I want to make money, right? And it goes beyond pure demographics. It's letting the capabilities of the human mind, which is what machine learning is, take over. There's nothing, if we gave everybody on this call a picture of a roof and the underlying demographic information associated with the house, you could make a reasonable assumption is that a potential customer. You could do it for one, you might do it for two, you might do it for five. But then you'd get tired and you'd introduce human bias to it, and somebody would call and you're not going to do it. So by using computers, using this machine learning to do that for you, so you can go sell, you can go make sure it's being installed correctly, make sure the customer's happy, make sure the rhododendron bushes are not getting trampled. Go do the things that you got into the business to do and leave the hard, ugly work to the computers.
So true. So we're gonna go into this exactly how it works, and then we'll have time for more questions because I think there's gonna be a lot more questions. We all see the need. We see how it can incorporate the importance of the data from Eagleview into Reworked.ai. So let's see, how do you go and purchase that? So step
So
one,
it's
Fred.
it's reworked.ai, right? And that is our website. And you'll simply click on roofing and you'll create an account. You haven't spent $1, you're just creating an account. And then you're going to see this page. It's going to say find opportunities. You click on finding opportunities. You're not finding leads, you're finding opportunities. Then you're going to tell Betty, and Betty's what we call our software. You're going to say, I want to replace roofs or I want to rejuvenate. As we all know, there's a huge market for rejuvenation, right? It is just ginormous. And we have the ability to tell the difference between a roof that is failing and a roof that is midlife. It's no obvious defects, no missing tiles, but this asphalt shingle roof would be a great candidate for your application and your franchise to go out there and sell and educate, as we talked about earlier. So
Fred,
then we're going to
I'm
move.
going to stop you. I'm going to stop you
Yeah.
here just for one quick thing, because I think this is really important. And what I'm hearing a lot out there right now is there are a lot of residential companies that are starting to incorporate service and maintenance programs. And so, as you were talking about rejuvenation, just so everybody's on the same terminology, whether that's some sort of coating or some sort of rejuvenation for the roof, or simply you're looking to start building those relationships with customers and starting with your service and maintenance program, that's a great click right there.
Yeah, and it's identifying, and it's, as Pete talked about, grading a roof. These are roofs that are not failing. And it's a fairly large segment of what we look at, but they're also great homeowners. So they're fine roofs, but they're great homeowners. And when I started to learn about the rejuvenation industry, it's like, wait a minute, I can spend a couple grand, 3-4 grand on my asphalt shingle roof and get 4 or 5 years out of it. Or maybe I'm going to get a maintenance program where I spend X amount of dollars a month and I've got a roofer on, just these are the roofs you want to go talk to, because it's not brand new. Because don't go talking to these customers when they just put a roof on a year and a half ago. They're going to chase you
Right.
off their lawn with a pitchfork because they're still paying for it. But these are the clients that are like, wait a minute, yeah, I put that roof in 9 years ago, and yes. So you
Yeah.
can pick
And
between
for
roof replacement or roof rejuvenation.
And those are the kind of leads from a service and maintenance program that also can lead to the other exteriors, siding, everything else. So I'm going to stop there, but I just want people to kind of think about that as we're going through, that you can find these kind of folks for several parts of your business. Okay. And next,
So
sorry.
next, yeah. So here's where you're going to put in your target area. You can do a county, you can do a city, you can do zip codes. I always encourage people to do a larger area, right? And you'll see it on the next slide. If you put in 3 or 4 zip codes, you're going to fish for tuna with a small net, right? No, you want to give a bigger net. The system will, if you're asking for 4,000 opportunities in Miami-Dade County, and what you'll see next is it's going to give you the best opportunities in the best zip codes. So they're automatically going to be grouped by that way. And so don't go thinking, I got to do this zip code or this small city. Just give it a little bigger. And then you come here and you say, okay, in Denver, Colorado County and Wake, North Carolina, there's approximately 507,000 single family homes. Our estimation based on our initial review with machine learning based on single family homes, educational level, income level, equity, renters versus owners, there's 41,000. There's at least 41,000 bad roofs and great homeowners in those two counties. You think, okay, I'll buy 500, I'll buy 1,000, I'll buy 2,000. You can put your number in there, any number you want, and then you just simply click next. And if you want to change your counties, you just edit counties, go back. You can play with this all day long. And again, you haven't spent a buck. You're just seeing what you want to look at. Once you decide how many you want, you can get roof area estimates. And right now we're offering that for free I believe it's over 500. You get roof area estimate and facets. You can append phone numbers and email. So if you want to send an email campaign, you want to text, phone number, to make calls, and that is charged at 7 cents a record return. So if you're buying 1,000 and 500 phone numbers are returned to you, you're only paying the 7 cents on the 500. Then you're simply going to click next, and you're going to, here's where you put your credit card information in, save card and pay. You will get a next message that says, okay, we've got your request. We'll send you an email, or the email comes to your inbox, and here's your confirmation that you paid. This takes between 2 and 6 hours. And the reason it takes between 2 and 6 hours is not because there's a warehouse in Manila of 400 people looking through pictures to determine a bad roof. It's because we are talking to our data providers for the demographic information via APIs. Our computers are pulling this information down. Once we get a large enough sample set, then our computers start talking to Eagleview, asking Eagleview to look at these addresses to give us the roof condition for these addresses. So if you're asking for 1,000, we may have to ask Eagleview to look at 5, 6, 7, 8,000 roofs to get 1,000, 1,100 bad ones. Then the last check is we're going to run it through a data provider that's looking at, have there been any building permits pulled on this address since the date of the image until today? And that's somewhat of it's a guesstimate, right? We know that not every county, not every state has the same rules on permitting for roofs, so we can't ask for a roof permit, but we make the assumption that if someone remodels their kitchen, that contractor who's going to do that remodel, when they're walking in, they're looking how to monetize the heck out of this house. And if there's a bad roof, well, that's an easy one. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I'd love to do your kitchen, but I also want to talk to you about your roof. So if they're going to do these things, they're going to take care of the roof. If there's been any permit pulled, we knock it out of the list because we don't want you to go showing up, mailing, calling, texting, canvassing a roof that just got replaced 3 months ago. It may still happen, but we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we don't give those roofs that have just been changed. So you're going to save card and pay, and then that information is going to come to you in about 2 to 6 hours, depending on the size of your file. It's going to be downloadable. I believe it's a CSV file. We're working on integrations with some CRM companies. We've got a marketplace for direct mailing, for digital knocking. We're adding some more companies to help those roofers that don't have those relationships in place. We've got Postcard Mania out of Clearwater, Florida, and Glass House, and we'll be adding a couple more just to help you. Okay, I got the information. What do I do next?
What do I do now?
Mail it, knock it, call it.
So, Fred, not to make you repeat yourself, but you covered a lot in there, and I think that was super helpful. But it's $1.79 an opportunity. That's what we're talking about, right? Just kind of answer that question directly.
Yeah, Alex, it's $1.79. So
for
you're going to buy 1,000,
or for 500, or for 2,000.
It doesn't. Our minimum, I believe, is 100. But there's 100 at $1.79. And when we were first launching this in September, October last year, we were building in tiers. Like if you buy less, it's going to be more. But when we started talking to roofers, and some roofers, not every roofer is big, some are small. And we just felt like, our price is $1.79. And so we're just, we launched a holiday sale. We decided to keep it. We like the number. It feels good. It feels fair. You're going to buy 10,000. Now, if you're going to start to buy 100,000 and these types of numbers, give me a call. We can have a conversation about some wholesale pricing. But
Yeah.
there is, I like to tell people, we're like Walmart. There's not a lot of profit in each one of these, right? Eagleview data and imagery, as we all know, is not cheap. And I talked about how many we're looking at to get to your 1,000, and how many we're looking at to get the 8,000 to Eagleview is 10, 20,000 of homeowners. So there's a lot of activity that's going on, a lot of preparation before that meal comes to your plate.
And I just want to point out too, Pete, you were reading my mind. This is for addresses. Then you can add on for phone numbers and email. And so
You don't have to. Yeah, you
you
can.
don't
You can
have
pick
to,
one
but
or
you
the
can.
other. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you want to get the help to get the direct mailers out, all of those kind of things, that's in the marketplace up here. And so you can kind of work with those partners too. One of the things that I think is important to think about too is your own systems. So if you get 500 leads, are you ready with your marketing funnel, your salespeople? How are you looking at that? But again, these aren't going to be my roof is leaking or I see spots on my ceiling. These are going to be people who are going to be ready for it. So it gives you time to start really bringing them in, educating them, sending them information. And I love that, Fred. I think it's so important. We have a couple questions. Are you in Canada?
Eventually, okay.
Yeah.
It is our intention. It will look a little differently. Our Canadian brothers and sisters have a different approach to personal privacy. So we can access a lot of the same information, but we're working with our data providers, including Eagleview, of what does that look like. And when we are all confident that we can deliver the equivalent product that we've got in the United States, then we will launch it. But we don't want to go out there and try to conquer the world and fall flat on our face.
So our Canadian friends, stay tuned. And Pete, you also have a lot coming towards Canada. You guys are working on the Canadian art market also, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have a good amount of imagery over there already. We're continuing to grow that out. So our traditional roof measurement products are available where we have the imagery. And then the property data that's really powering this, finding these roofing opportunities is underway, basically to bring that to the Canadian market. So just like Fred said, it's on its way. Our imagery, our typical roof measurement products are available today in Canada where we have that imagery, which I believe is 65% of the highest populated areas, so good amount, but more to come.
More to come. I love this question, and I just have to say, Catherine, from Bordner Home Improvement. Catherine, I worked with you guys when I was at Eagleview. I was very excited to see your company here. Her question is, will this interface with storm data? So how does this kind of come together with storms and insurance?
Wow. Yeah, I don't know how I missed that question. The answer is yes, it does, in two components. When we're first looking at how many potential opportunities there, we're looking at recent storm data. And we have coming soon, next 2 weeks, we're hoping to get it live by IRE, which we will be at next week, storm history, right? So you could ask for 1,000 opportunities in an area. And just as we have phone number and email, say, give me storm activity against these homes, right? So if there's someone's, these 1,000 homes, 42 of them had a 1-inch hail event on this date, and it'll be more information that you'll be able to use in, again, your education of your crafting of your sales pitch to your customers. So that is coming soon, to be able to layer in that storm data.
You also said coming soon with some interfaces or integrations with CRMs. Catherine is asking about AccuLinks.
Yeah, so we do not have any discussions ongoing with AccuLinks. They've been a little busy. And so we have several CRMs that we're working with to either go on their marketplace, and that would come with a simple computer interchange that we would do with them to be able to have the information flow from us directly into the CRM. We do have multiple APIs available via Zapier. I think that's the one that we've got that we can make happen via different CRMs. And again, we're happy to jump on a call with anybody and figure out. We've got a great technology team that can interface and help people, whether it's working through a CRM or a Zapier integration. You know, we're more than available to take that help.
Yeah. And
I think,
if you're going to IRE, you're going to be there at IRE, so they could talk to you there. But I think getting on that call, because there's going to be a lot of ways to import, export, do what you need to do, right?
yeah, yeah, and if I can kind of come over top on that one, Heidi, it is
Yeah.
always helpful as users of different CRMs, if there's a new solution or an integration you want, if you could help get that word to the CRM, that always helps us too, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I think we all have a lot to do, and everybody wants to focus on what does the customer, the user want, and just get that word out there for us, and that certainly helps bring these conversations to awareness and prioritize the conversations too. So, always appreciate it if you could be that voice for us to your software providers when there's a new solution that you want integrated.
Get to your customer representative and say, hey, we saw this, we want to do it. How do we do
Yep.
that? Because that really helps build the momentum across the board. Um, Alex, again, I love it. Alex was asking for an explainer video, and thank you, you all. Guevara, you put it in. Hey, Alex, here's the guide with the explainer video as well. So everyone in your chat, if you can't see it, be sure to click that you're looking at everyone, just not the host, but you should be able to see that. If not, obviously we can get that to you. So that is available. And then I do have the question I think from Evelyn is Field Pulse. I'm guessing that's a CRM. Are you gentlemen familiar with Field Pulse?
I've not heard of Field Pulse.
You're not. Evelyn, can you give us just a little bit more explanation on that question, and we can help you out. Scott asked, is there any way that we could pull a small sample? Imagine 5 to 10 addresses that we could do a drive-by to verify damage and age.
Scott, set up a call. Let's talk.
Fred, can you put your email
I
into the
did.
chat too?
Yeah.
You did. Okay.
Yeah, I put
Perfect.
my email in there, and I screwed up. I was only doing host and panelist. Right. This is why nobody on our team lets me mess with technology. But I
Go
just
to
put
everyone. Yeah.
yeah, I know. Thanks. I just put my Calendly link in there in my email. Yeah, let's just get on a call, and there's going to be 100 other questions that everyone else has got on different things. So let's chat. We love talking
Yeah.
to customers. Vast majority of what we've put in here, besides the roofing opportunity concept, is come from customers like, hey, what about emails? Can I get phone numbers? Okay, we just throw that in place. That wasn't part of the pre-launch in September. That was stuff that the team's like, wow, I'm hearing from a customer, our team's hearing from a customer, we're putting in there. So yeah, we're fast and nimble, and we learn by listening to our customers.
And that's what I love. And don't forget, Reworked.ai has a full directory on Roofers Coffee Shop where you can get all the contact information. You can get there, you can email Fred from there. You can get the phone number, everything. Because Mike, you're asking about how to set up a demo. Trust me, we're going to get your information to Fred and company, and they will get with you. But you can also call them or email Fred there. And Catherine says, hi, I'm just going really quick. What about real-time storms what about real-time storms, please? So after a storm, we only knock on doors with damage. Great question.
That's gonna be part of that storm. You're gonna be able to get a historical, or you're gonna be able to say, okay, this storm just happened here. Go for your life. Mail them, knock them, text them, phone them. Go for your life.
Yeah.
Real-time storm alerts. Yes.
I have to tell you, great questions, great engagement. Thank you, everyone. It sounds like you now know who you're visiting at IRE or who you're calling for a demo. This is the best kept secret that's no longer a secret because we've got them on Roofers Coffee Shop and we're shouting it from the hills. So we've also had a great podcast with Fred. So please check out his podcast to learn more. And of course, get in touch with that. And if you don't have an Eagleview account, well, I just don't know who you are. But I'm sure if you need help with that, Pete can help you too. And you can find Eagleview
Absolutely.
with their directory on Roofers Coffee Shop, Metal Coffee Shop, all the coffee shops. So the podcast, go to the Roofers Coffee Shop directory, look up Reworked.ai, and you'll see the podcast listed towards the bottom of the directory. So, of course, Heidi at RoofersCoffeeShop.com. If you didn't get your answers question, you can email me and we'll get it to you. We'll also be seeing you next week at IRE. Gentlemen, thank you so much. What a great webinar. So appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you,
Really
Heidi.
enjoyed it.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Have a good
And thank you
weekend.
all. Please stop by at IRE and say hi to us. We're going to be we're going to be there doing live coffee conversations. So you'll get all that information and then we'll be back with more webinars after IRE. So take care and have a great day.